Alright everybody, welcome back to my 1-year anniversary video. That's right, 1 year ago, a young blue monkey was making probably the worst WoW videos on YouTube, and since then, because of you guys, I have grown a lot, I've learned a lot, and I just want to say I appreciate you guys. Now today, we're going to be talking about the changes that I would like to see to hunter pets. And that's going to start with reworks to a lot of these pets and pet special abilities. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the exotic pets, and then we'll move on to the special abilities. I've just got a lot of different things that I would like to discuss, you guys, and I think that, you know, if Blizzard implemented some of these things that I'm going to be talking about in this video, that hunters would be in a lot more, just I guess, in a lot better state than they are now, as far as how much fun we have with the class, specifically with our pets. So again, starting with the exotic pets, there are a lot of exotic pet abilities that do little to nothing in terms of damage, defense, or utility. And I'll list some off for you real quick. I've got it written down. First of all, the Chimera's Froststorm Breath, the Worm's Burrow Attack, the Corehound's Obsidian Skin, the Carapid and Shale Beast exotic defensive abilities, the Stonehound's Eternal Guardian ability, Water Striders I would like to see a rework to, and I will get to that in just a second, as well as the Pterodactyls. So for the Chimeras, they have an exotic ability called Froststorm Breath that says the Chimera channels a frozen breath attack, causing however much Froststorm damage every 2 seconds for 8 seconds to all enemies within 12 yards. Now, it does the damage in like a frontal cone, or almost like a frontal cylinder, and the pet's aim is just garbage. You know, this ability completely depends on whether or not the pet is facing the exact right way towards the most amount of enemies, which most of the time it's not. I think reworking this ability to do damage in a circle area of effect instead of a frontal cone would be absolutely great. As far as damage, it does roughly the same as the Worm's Burrow Attack. So when casting against 3 enemies, the DPS of Burrow Attack keeps up with the pet's other abilities, meaning that if the attack only hits 2 enemies, you'll see a DPS loss. And I understand the point of an AoE attack is basically to do less damage to a single target, but you're doing more damage overall because you're hitting multiple enemies. I get that, but I would personally like it to work like this. Against 1 enemy, DPS loss. Against 2 enemies, consistent DPS. And against 3 or more enemies, an increase in pet's AoE DPS. Is that asking for too much? Maybe. But I don't think it would be if, and don't tell Blizzard this, if we got a nerf to our Beast Cleave. Now hear me out. With how powerful Beast Cleave is, these AoE exotic pet attacks are completely null and void. You know, it's completely pointless to take these pets because Beast Cleave is already doing more damage than this attack, so if you even took this pet, you wouldn't even use the attack. That's not fun to me. If they nerfed Beast Cleave, but buffed the exotic pet AoE attacks, it would give us a more unique way to kind of customize our hunters, while still being able to perform at the same AoE capacity, you know, if that's how we spec our pet. And that would give us a lot more choice whether we want to spec our pet for single target or for AoE. Keep in mind that we would still have Beast Cleave if we did want to take another pet that is better for single target, but we would still have that AoE potential because Beast Cleave would still be there. Let me know what you guys think of this idea. I just think it would make for a lot more variety and a lot more of a reason to kind of think about our builds instead of it kind of just being flat and the same across the board no matter what pet you take, right? That's not fun. Moving on to the Corehound's Obsidian Skin. Damage does roughly 170 DPS for 10 seconds at item level 200. It is a great concept, but it's just not worth taking right now. You know, given that this ability only applies if your pet is being targeted and being attacked, this is going to assume that you're doing solo content, right? That your pet is acting as your tank. And if that's the type of content you're playing, Cleft Hoofs just far outshine the benefits that Corehounds can give us. They just have way more survivability, first of all. And second of all, the Obsidian Skin, while a cool concept, and definitely could be useful if it did enough damage, you know, Corehounds basically adopt the idea of we're going to have some offensive and some defensive utility. But right now, it's just not worth the trade-off. I think this ability could be saved by reworking the ability to do damage to any melee attackers, period. Okay, not just for 10 seconds, not triggering once every minute. I think that, you know, if a melee attacker is hitting your pet, they should be on fire, period. Because at this point, an extra 1700 damage per minute Maximum? Yeah, that is just not appealing. Right, the concept is great. Love the concept, but it just needs a buff. And that's what I see with a lot of these exotic pet abilities, especially the Carapid and the Shale Beast. So let's look at this ability, or these abilities. One says reduces physical damage, one says reduces magic damage by math, right? However much this math equals out to. I actually did the math on this, and like I said in the last video, the result I came up with was shockingly low. So much so that I felt that somehow I didn't do my math right, so I jumped in game, me at item level 200. These abilities are reducing our pet's magic or physical damage by 33. Not 33%, 33. Completely unnoticeable. And think about it, your total health, the pet's total health times 0.0015. I mean, it's like 0.1%. Or something like that. Absolutely useless. You know, I don't have an issue with the ability. It's straightforward. But let's buff this by a lot. Okay? Let's buff this by a lot, because if we're taking an exotic pet with the purpose of having an extra defensive utility passive, we're going to expect that it I mean, I don't even know how to say it. We're going to expect that it's actually going to do something. Plain and simple. Disappointing. The Stonehound Eternal Guardian, another cool ability concept. I think this is great, especially considering the nerfs that we got to our Mend Pet ability. Right, it used to be a 2-second cast, and now it's a 4-second cast. The ability allows you to instantly resurrect your pet with full health. The problem is that it's on an 8-second cooldown, or excuse me, an 8-minute cooldown. An 8-minute cooldown, not 8 seconds. 8 seconds would be fine. This ability is on an 8-minute cooldown, and I don't think that it should have a cooldown at all, and here's why. In solo PvE, this would bring the Stonehounds to the same level of competing with the Cleft Hoofs, right, as far as survivability. Now, it doesn't have the leech, and it doesn't have the increased healing or the increased armor, but it does have a couple passive defensive, less powerful abilities, given that it belongs to the Cunning Spec, and its special ability is defensive focused as well. This pet would still die a lot quicker, but you'd be able to revive it again. You know, people would argue that that wouldn't be okay in PvP and instantly revive pet, but the pet doesn't bring anything else in terms of PvP viability, really. Or at least as far as like offensive power or utility. I don't think it'd be OP at all, and I really don't think anyone would even pick this pet in PvP, because I think there would be a lot better options. As for the Water Striders, I would like to see a partial rework. So right now, let me pull it up. Water Striders belong to the Cunning Pet spec. They come with Pathfinding and Master's Call. Their exotic ability is Surface Trot, allowing you to walk on water, and they have the Soothing Waters special ability, which basically removes one disease, magic, and poison effect from the pet. This is a really lackluster special ability. This used to be basically the equivalent of what we now have as Tranquilizing Shot, only it belonged to the pet, and they replaced it with this ability, as they did all pets with that special ability. Now, the issue that I have with Water Striders is that the exotic ability seems cool on paper, but in game, you just don't use it enough. Now, I always say that there's a couple situations where this ability is good in. If you're in an area with no flying and you need to cross a body of water, assuming that you're not near a Flight Master, which is a very, very specific situation, as well as for like crossing rivers and battlegrounds. Now, I say that the Water Striders should be reworked to be more suited to battlegrounds. I say keep the exotic ability. I say keep it in the same pet spec, Cunning, that's fine. Change the Soothing Waters ability out for the Slow ability. And I think that would create a very synergistic combination of pet spec, special abilities, and exotic abilities, because it's all focused around mobility and traversal. With Cunning, you get Pathfinding and Master's Call, getting you out of roots and snares and increasing your movement speed passively. Surface Trot, allowing you to walk across water, and then I think the Slow ability to be able to slow your enemies is going to completely round out this kit to not only increase your movement speed and your ability to move around the map, as well as decrease the enemies. Especially considering the Surface Trot, the ability gets negated if you get hit. So if you're running away and you're trying to cross a body of water, it would be in the best interest for this pet that we're talking about, to have an ability that's going to slow the enemy down. That way, when you get to the water, you're not going to be taking damage. It would just make more sense. At least that's what I think. So moving on to the Pterodactyls, they took away Updraft. Like, what the actual fuck? This pet doesn't have an exotic ability anymore. The only change that I think needs to happen to this pet is to get updraft back. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I mentioned this in the last video as well, but yeah, something needs to happen here. So let's move on to the special abilities portion of the video. So we have 3 special pet abilities that all basically do the same thing. Keep in mind that there are only a total of 6 special abilities that any given pet can't have. So we have dodge, defense, and trigger defense. So all of these basically offer the pet a little bit of defense on a small cooldown. The exact amount of defense and the exact cooldown time vary slightly to essentially even out across the board, which makes sense. What I want is a couple new special abilities to give our beloved pets some more variety. So I think we should keep just one of the defensive options. My personal favorite is trigger defense, the one that triggers automatically once you get to 40%, once your pet gets to 40% health. That's my personal favorite. Keep one of these 3 abilities and replace it with something like this. Now I have them written down, and if you have any special ability ideas, guys, leave that shit down in the comments. I'm very interested to hear what you guys have to say, and I always love when you guys end up talking to each other in the comment section. Gosh, it's just so fun for me. Anyways, these are my ideas. One of the special abilities could increase the pet's attack speed or haste, and that could be passively or actively. An ability that increases the effectiveness of healing received, kind of like the Cleft Hoof Salve, but the Cleft Hoof's ability also gives them 10% additional armor. So if we got this as a special ability, the Cleft Hoof's exotic ability would probably have to get a little bit of a nerf. So, I mean, maybe in the end, this wouldn't be the best thing. Again, guys, I just wanted to be kind of a conversation. Like, these are just the things that have been on my mind recently. Another idea I had for a special ability says apply a mark to the enemy that increases the duration of your bleeds, potentially result in a little bit of an increase in DPS, or at the very least, you know, your rotation would be changed because you would be able to fit in more spells before you have to reapply your bleeds. Now, these ideas, guys, they're just that. They're just ideas. How would they work out in game? As far as details go, I'm not 100% sure. The idea I'm getting at is that we should have more variety in the pets and the special abilities that we choose when we're playing the content that we're playing. We should have more variety as far as what our pets bring to the table for us. So I have one more idea, and it doesn't pertain to reworking any of the pets. That kind of section of the video is over, but what do you think about this? Raise a pet quest line. What do you think? In my head, it would work something like this. You choose your pet's spec, special ability, appearance, and its exotic ability. But the difference here is that the pet would be able to be used and summoned by survival and marksmanship. The exotic ability just wouldn't trigger. What do you think? On that note, why can't we do that to all of our pets? Why can't we do that to every exotic? Why not? I mean, I would love to be able to rock a devil sword with a survival hunter. That would be fucking badass. And guys, I'm gonna plug the True Shot Lodge Discord here, just because there is hunters in that Discord every single day having discussions just like this. Is a really fun place to hang out. But other notes I have here about the quest, maybe it just gives you a non-exotic pet. Maybe that would, you know, change the game too much. This way you can create a pet that's best suited for the content that you like to play, as well as having the appearance or pet model that you like the most. Plus, it would be your pet. Literally one of a kind. Like, imagine saying, here, I'll pull this up real quick. Imagine saying, I want a cat pet, but I want it to have the defense ability, and I want it to be in the cunning pet spec. What? Wouldn't that be crazy? And then imagine you go through, like, all of the different cat models, and you pick that model. And then you go through all the different colors and fur patterns. Right? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just fucking daydreaming, but I don't know. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. That's basically gonna wrap it up for the video. Thank you again for sticking around with me for literally an entire year. That is crazy to me. Appreciate you guys. Can't wait to hear what you have to say in the comment section down below. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see another video next week. They're not all this unstructured. Most of the time it's guides and stuff like that. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's gonna do it for today, guys. I'll see you next time. Peace.